All right, I think this is working. Click here at any time to view the post on Facebook. Let's check this out. I have just, hold on, tell me HD mode has been deactivated because the internet connection is not fast enough. Awesome. I just purchased, well actually I didn't purchase, I just downloaded this thing called Ecamm. Have you heard of it? A lot of people are using it. It's a different way to broadcast live on Facebook that would allow me to share my screen and do a bunch of other fancy things like put links in. And I wanted to test drive it with you guys because I have a few videos that I want to show up with over the next 4 weeks that have to do with creating very high connection inside of your business. So I've got 3 more weeks that I am planning to do these videos, and the next week will, I think, be all about what not to focus on in your business as opposed to focusing on bookings. I feel like, let me backtrack there. I feel like I'm constantly seeing like, how do I get more clients? How do I get more bookings? And that's like the constant conversation, but there are things that need to be focused on before we even get to the booking conversation, and I want to talk about that next week. And then I have some other things around just like using stories in your business and also creating timeless marketing content that I will be talking to you guys on over the next 4 weeks. So hopefully this Ecamm Mac app that I just downloaded works really well for us. If you're here watching, I'd love it if you would comment below. In this particular video today, I'm going to talk about being more welcoming with your emails, have your emails in your readers' inboxes be something that they value and welcome and they're really excited to get. I just did something really crazy, and I will be telling more about it next week to my own email list, but I have this email account where I sign up for all kinds of crap, mostly, to be frank, and it's an inbox that I don't check. It's there for me, like if there's a Facebook ad that's offering some free how to learn how to do this, like I'm going to sign up for it with that email address, and I might go and get that free ebook or whatever it is right away, but then I bounce out of that inbox. So what happens when we're opting into stuff is, as we're all learning pretty quickly, I'm sure, that it's usually the start of a whole bunch of emails from whoever created that free piece of content. Now, it's a really great strategy, and I actually do it in my own businesses, but we, as just individual people, like we know that signing up for something means that we're bringing more noise into our life. So that secondary email is a really great way to just like let the noise simmer down. But the point of this is that inbox got to over 21,000 unread emails in it in less than 2 years, just from all the stuff that I signed up for, and then all those senders kept emailing me. And that's not even my personal account. That's just like things that I have signed up for because of things I've come across that I've been interested in inside of just learning about business, learning about marketing, photography things, all the things that I'm interested in. So I just kicked my garbage can. So what I did was something really tedious and long and crazy, but I actually took the time and went through those emails over the last couple of weeks, 21,000 of them. Now, I didn't read them all from start to finish, but I looked at every single subject line, and that sort of helped me decide if I wanted to open it or not. But I came up with, I started going into the project, I guess, really excited because I like I said, I sign up for so many things that I am actually interested in to learn more about marketing, copywriting, how to launch a course or whatever, just things that have to do with running an online business. But then also there's the whole photography thing and preserving memories and all these different things. And I thought this is actually going to be really fun. I'm going to take these couple of weeks to just digest and go through all the content, right? I'm thinking it's like picking up a really good book that's free. But then it was fun until it wasn't. Very quickly, the emails just were annoying. And I'm sure that a lot of you are like, well, yeah, duh. Like, all we get is sales emails. But when I was taught, like, how to, like, rock your email newsletter, I was taught that you're supposed to provide a whole bunch of value and then eventually, like, sell things to people. So I really believed that I was going to dive in there and there was going to just be tons of value sprinkled in with some sales emails. But it wasn't. It was the opposite. It was like 90% of this stuff was just salesy things, which I'm going to get into. I started taking notes. I was so fired up and annoyed by this that I started taking notes. And that's actually what drove me to actually go through all of the emails, was because I wanted to just see things that I liked and things that I didn't like, so that I could just learn for myself and show up better as an email sender myself, but then also to report back to you guys, because I think that these lessons are going to be really, really valuable. So I'm going to go through all 13 of them, but if you're watching, I would love it if you would just take a second to say hi in the comments. If you didn't catch me in the beginning, this is my first time using Ecamm Live. I don't really know how it works. I think I should be able to see the comments pop up, so I'd love it if you just say hello so I can see if I can see them. And then tell me some things that drive you absolutely crazy in your inbox, like when you open an email that drives you nuts. And I'm sure that some of the things that I am about to say, you're going to be like, yes. And also say like something like, what do you really appreciate from somebody who's sending you an email as well for something that you have signed up for. I'm getting into this whole topic and going through this like video series because I'm always asked about, how do I market my business? How do I get more clients? And it seems like everybody just wants to go for the booking. And I really believe, and in the past 11 years that I have been in business, that the best businesses start with relationships and experiences. And so this is like the start of kind of this conversation with you guys through these videos. And I just think that showing you some like really clear and simple things that we can do just with the way that we communicate is a really great starting point. And then over the next few weeks, I'm going to go just a little bit, not a little bit, but a lot deeper in how we can infuse more of you, more of humanity into your inbox. If you're on my email list, my pen pal list, as I like to call it, you got a couple of emails this week. I've already started talking about this stuff to you guys. And if you're not on it, I put just the Fearless and Framed URL right here. So you can, if you go there and just sign up on any of the forms that are on that page, I will have more of these lessons coming out over the next week right to your inbox. So those of you who have already read those emails, I have gotten more engagement out of these 2 emails than I have in probably months. And 100% it's because I have shown up as Marie, not as the business. And when you can show up as you inside of your communication, then there's this old adage that's people do business with people. Have you heard of that before? And basically, I really want to start talking about how you can come to your communication with the stories of experiences, not being like overpowering, like TMI, sharing your whole life story, but just enough to where people remember you. They don't just think of you as someone with a camera that can get pictures for their family, but they actually remember you as a human being. And like I said, just in the last couple of emails when I got like away from showing up that way over the past year as I've been really focused on building systems inside of my business and timeless content, which is another topic I'll talk about in a few weeks. But I kind of got away from that. And I noticed because I was rushing all the time to get content out. And when I'm rushing to get stuff done, it's hard to show up as yourself because I'm just so like, all right, they need to know about this and here's where they need to go to sign up and here's where they need to go buy. Not that I was just selling all the time, but even like we have this blog roundup thing that we do every month where we send out just a snippet of all of the last month's blog posts, which are all of stories from other photographers in our community. And sometimes it's stuff that I've written and stuff too, but Like there's no Marie in that anymore. And I have noticed this shift, and early on when I started Fearless and Framed, like it was like a big party every time that I turned on my computer. It was having so many conversations with these friends from around the world because I was being more me in my inbox. Well, in my emails that were landing in your inbox. So, hi! I agree about the emails. After I get the freebie info emails, I receive the offer. One time, I got the same email delivered to me 3 days in a row. The only difference was a countdown to how long before the sale runs out. Oh, yeah, that's actually one of my points, the resend things, which I'm going to get to in a second. But, all right, I'm going to dive in to the 13 lessons that I learned because I'm just so freaking fired up about this, and I'm really excited to share this stuff with you. And I challenge you, after you listen to this, to do this with your own inbox. You probably don't have 21,000 emails in this, like, off your radar, I guess, inbox like I have. And which is funny, I have been keeping up with it ever since I cleared it out. I literally got it from 21 something thousand emails down to inbox 0. And I went to Unroll Me, which unsubscribed me to a bunch of things that I knew I didn't want to hear from anymore. And I unsubscribed to some people that I thought were really annoying along the way, just in real time. But from what I have left on there, and I think I got it down to inbox 0 last, it was over the weekend, Saturday or Sunday, I think. Or maybe it was a little bit earlier. Point being, it's been like a week, and I have been trying to keep up with it, and it's already at like 75 new emails. Like, just the amount of stuff that we're getting in our inbox is insane. You already know that. But just be mindful of that for the people that you are trying to communicate with. And even if you're not into like sending out email newsletters, a lot of this stuff really would apply to like a social media post as well, sort of. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. So here are the 13 lessons that I learned. Number 1, the inbox as a whole was lacking connection. Part of this is because I don't check that inbox very often, but so much of that, I saw names and I had no idea who that person was. So that could be okay if I don't know who the sender is, as long as I open up the inbox and I'm like, oh yeah, it's this person. But what was happening was I would open up an email that would be like talking to me about whatever it is that they're doing in their business. So it wasn't just like, oh yeah, this person teaches about email funnels or whatever. It was more like they're just immediately trying to get me to watch a webinar, or they might be sharing content on that. But there was still like nothing clicked. Like I couldn't be like, oh, this is Julia who teaches this. There was none of that. I was like, this person is completely foreign to me. And I looked at, and this is actually a little bit later down on my list, number 5, but just to sort of foreshadow this, I found the people who I really enjoyed hearing from, almost every single time there was a snippet of something personal. So when I see their name, I don't just see like David Siteman Garland. He does a great job with this. I actually took one of his courses on how to create awesome online courses. So I'm on his email list, and he does an amazing job at sharing like a small personal bit about his life. He'll share a picture of his baby, who's not quite a baby anymore. And then he'll like get into business. And like every email is it's just really light and refreshing to hear overall, just the vibe of it. But I think that, which of course, like I bought a course from him, so it's a little bit different, but there was even people, the same idea, that shared a little bit, enough of their life for me to remember them as a human, not to remember them for what they do in their business, because that is just noise. So, that was lesson number 1. There was just no connection. I was just like, I have like a lot of it, because I don't get in there. If they're sending out an email series, I'm like getting in the middle of it, and I have no idea what they're really talking about. And then on top of that, I don't even really remember who they are. Number 2 was, I don't like the emails, and I'm going to be more mindful about this for when we're doing our monthly blog roundup post that we do every month. I don't like when the subject line is assuming that I know this like particular series. So there was this one series that I'm not going to say who it was from because I don't want to throw anybody under the bus because I know they're working hard, but it was like called like a Make It Happen Mondays. Episode number 9 is live. And because I didn't know who the sender was, like, and I'm like, I don't even know, what is a Make It Happen Mondays? So the point is, we can't assume that the people in our inbox are really paying so much attention to what we're doing that they just know what we're talking about. A clear example of that, and this is more directional, I guess, but same type of idea. My son was up in his bedroom a few nights ago, and I was like, Levi, dinner's ready. Nothing happened. He didn't come down. And I realized, okay, he is a child. I need to say, Levi, dinner's ready. Come downstairs. You know what I mean? Like how we have to be just like super duper clear. And I think that sometimes we do things that are so redundant in our business. Like, okay, I'm sharing another photo session. Okay, I'm sharing another blog post. I notice this a lot because I have photographers that are in this 21,000 emails too. A lot of photographers have like the same subject line for every single email because it's just like, oh, here's an update of what's going on my blog. And that is typically because of it's an RSS feed that is set up to automatically share an email as opposed to actually going into something like ConvertKit, which is my thing of choice, or MailChimp, thing of choice being, I guess I should elaborate, email service provider. So just be mindful of that your readers, they're probably not paying as close of attention to you and what you're doing as you may think. So we have to be just super clear on what this is. So this Make It Happen Mondays, like, I don't know what that is, but give me a little bit of a value nugget in that subject line. Like, give me a preview of what this is what this episode is about. So like, for example, like what if this was Make It Happen Thursdays? And if I just put Make It Happen Thursdays in the Facebook feed, you'd probably be like, I don't know what that is. And you kept on scrolling. But if I catch you with whatever description I end up going for with this, like make your inbox super warm and welcoming, the emails that land in your client's inbox super warm and welcoming or something like that, like your ears would perk up because you'd be like, oh, I want to know how to be better with my clients, right? But if I was just like, Make It Happen Thursdays, you'd be like, I don't know. Or at least that's how I felt. So number 3, I don't like a juicy content tease in the subject line only to have to opt in for something to get the juicy bits. So there was some things on there like I don't know, like let's just like make something up, like how to be the best copywriter in the world. And then I'm like, oh yeah, what are some tips on that? I open it up and they're like, here, you have to click here to get this free guide. That's annoying to me. Like, tell me in the subject line that I'm going to have to download something, like at least preview, like, because I think that we move so quickly that we really appreciate when we see like whatever this is going to be about and we can open it up and it's just, all right there. We don't have to go take any other steps or action. What bothered me most was actually number 4. This is like, I think the biggest annoyance that I had was when there wasn't only just the teasy subject line, but then it was, I think that's what it is. It's the subject line that almost promises that if I open this email, I'm getting whatever it is that I want to know in that email. And then when I open it up and find out that that's not true, that's when it really gets annoying. And more than being annoying, then it's just like a download that I have to do or just a few extra steps, like go jump and read on the blog. That's not as annoying as when I have to go watch something for the information that I want. It's like there's nothing more annoying that I have to go get on a webinar or watch a video or something like that. So what I learned though was that there are people who are doing this really like in a different way that I actually really appreciate. Because I think that, and tell me, like, I'd love to hear, comment away, your thoughts on this, but if I'm getting an email, I don't want to have to go take a whole bunch of extra steps. I mean, there's definitely a time and a place where you're going to get invited to webinars and things like that, but I don't think that you should almost believe that you're getting that information in the email. I want to know from the subject line what is in that email. Does that make sense? I don't know if, want to say that being invited to webinars and things like that are a bad thing, because they're definitely not. But it's when I feel like I'm promised that whatever that information is going to be in the email. I want to open up my inbox or open up an email and just have everything all laid out in front of me. If I feel like that's what I'm going to be getting. I don't want to be like, oh, I have to go do all this other stuff. Anyway, hope I'm making sense. So, number 5, I definitely I found my people going through these 21,000 emails. I found a handful of people that I really love to get emails from them, and I think that was just really valuable. Some of these people I already knew because I actually have them just in my main inbox anyway, but I paid more attention to what made their emails better than anybody else's. And going back to what I was saying earlier, it really had to do with them being like both human and business, not just business. And it had to do with how they wrote, which I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. Like everything was just, it flowed so nicely. And then they never did those annoying things. Like if they had a webinar that they wanted me to, or like a piece of content that they wanted me to go watch. Like I noticed this a lot, especially with when new podcast episodes came out, or if somebody had like a new video series or a webinar, they would have a subject line that would basically tell me what was in the body of the email. And the body of the email would then tell me, hey, I also have this video series that you can go watch. But they would almost have like cliff notes or something in here. So that way it was like, I didn't have to go watch the video to actually get value out of the email. So let me see if I can make something up off the top of my head. I didn't want to just like read off of, other people's content because it's not really cool. But so basically, like say there was an email that was about, let's pull something out of my butt. I know, the 13 lessons that I learned. This, exactly what I'm doing right now. If that was the subject line, 13 lessons that I learned, then when I open up that email, there damn well better be at least some of those 13 lessons in there. But that's what I was finding, was that they would have that 13 lessons I learned, and then I had to go watch something that took way too much time, because I don't really like to watch videos anyway, unless I'm really excited about whatever it is. But when someone, like the people that I really like hearing from, they would do something differently. Like they would have like that same subject line, 13 lessons that I learned, and they would like list some of those things. They would list all 13 things out, but then they'd be like, but here, you can also go hear me talk about it. So I go a little bit more in depth with you in this video, but I still gained something from that message. Does that make sense? I think I finally just, like in a long roundabout way, finally explained that, how I wanted to explain that. And the people that I really loved, I noticed that they were really good about making sure that every email had value in it. It wasn't just an invitation for me to go get value somewhere else. That is annoying to me. So, and again, like this stuff isn't gospel. This is just really like my own personal opinion of like the things that I was seeing as trends in my inbox. And I want to, like, I made myself so much more aware. Like I am guilty of doing some of these things myself. And I just felt like this would be a really good message for you guys to hear, to make sure that you're not feeling like just stale, or not feeling, but perceived as stale and redundant, or someone that they just have no idea who you are when you're communicating with them, whether that's in your inbox or on social media. I also, number 6 was I learned your face matters. I really appreciate it when I'm on somebody's newsletter list, when they have the signature or a header. I know it, like I'm, like I said, a ConvertKit girl. My header has, well, not my header, but I noticed some people have a header that has a picture of them somewhere in that header image. It's an image. And then in the signature area, if someone has just like a little headshot, that is really cool, because just having that visual of who they are just makes them feel more like a person rather than a business trying to market at me right off the bat. And that is such a simple thing that we can all do. And especially as photographers, hello, I know you have a picture of yourself. Number 7. So this is the blog preview meaning just like a snippet of a blog post and maybe an image with a link to go continue reading versus the whole blog post in the email. To me, it depends. I think it just depends on how it is structured. I definitely appreciate when an entire blog post lands in my inbox. Like, I think that I always really like that. The blog previews, I think it depends on how much is given. So, for example, if it's going back to, here's 13 lessons I learned about my 21,000 emails, and that's like the subject line, and then I open it up and it's just an invitation for me to go read it somewhere else. Hey, I wrote a blog post about this. Go check it out. That is annoying to me. But if they give me a few paragraphs, like give me enough of the content for me to decide, okay, I want to read this, or no, I'm just going to delete it. This one's not for me. I need to at least be able to decide right then and there if I want to read this or not. I shouldn't have to go click a button to be taken to a blog to then have to decide. Like, you don't make me take those extra steps. Does it make sense? How do you guys feel about that? Number 8. I thought this one was just interesting in general. My eyes were drawn to the middle of an email when the text was stylized, like if they had a header or a bold font or all caps, things like that. Like, it was like I'd look at like my eyes just would go straight to that as opposed to reading the top line, which I found really interesting because when I am writing an email, I'm very quick to, like, I pay attention to how I'm starting off the email because I'm like, I want to hook whoever's reading, like, right away. I want them to want to keep reading. But I found I think it's just because of how we're trained these days to skim our Facebook feed and all that our eyes are just trained to zero down as quickly as possible and look for the most important bits. And then it's like, then I look at those and then I decide, okay, I'm going to go back up to the top and actually pay attention. So, something to be mindful of when you're styling your emails and making sure that you are really putting in the most important stuff in those, like, bold things that maybe, like, use those as, like, where you're really hooking people, kind of a thing. All right, number 9. I had so many please confirm emails that I never went and actually confirmed. So there were definitely lots of instances over the past couple of years where I've signed up for something and I went to my inbox and confirmed right away so that I could get whatever juicy piece of information that was. But there were also a lot that I saw and I was either busy and forgot, or it just wasn't important enough for me to go to my inbox right away to do that. So that one, to me, like, this one, like, I don't really have an answer as to, like, what to do to make sure people go confirm right away. I think there are different things that we can do. When you opt in for something, there's always a thank you page, right? Or there should be, in most cases. Not if it's just like a little form and then you just, okay, thank you. But a lot of people will have a whole landing page that's the information about whatever it is that you're opting in for, and then you put in your name and your email, you click the button, and then you're on the thank you page, and that's usually where it says, okay, go to your inbox and confirm so you get whatever. I think that now more than ever we need to make sure we're utilizing that real estate to put a video there so that you make that connection with somebody, because if they're interested in your topic and then they see your face with a video, they're going to pay attention. And then hopefully you can encourage them through your video, like, go to your inbox right now before you forget. Another way to do that, like, you can get all fancy and savvy. I'm not the best teacher at this because I'm not a Facebook ads expert, but I know that you can set up a Facebook ads audience inside of your Facebook ads dashboard, manager, whatever, in the audience section of all of that. Set up an audience of people who have visited that thank you page. And then you could serve up an ad that expires, like, within, like, a time period, say, like, within a day or 2 days of when they've hit that page, that says, hey, I just want to make sure that you went to your inbox to go confirm, or not. And I wouldn't word it like that, to go confirm. Mentally, that's what we know we're having them do, but remind them about whatever it is that you're giving them, so that way they remember to go do it. There's so many different things that we could do with Facebook ads to help create an experience before they get to your inbox to help them want to open up your emails to begin with. Let me just check on the comments. Sam says, yes, I skim to all the bold-face type and then go back. Yeah, me too. Ebony, hi. I didn't tell you I was doing a Facebook Live today. Surprise. Let's see. And I mapped out 4 weeks of different things like this that I'm going to be doing, Ebony. I didn't even fill you in on that. So number 10, I noticed around the year mark, like when it had been like a year since I signed up for somebody's emails, and it might not even be that. It could just be like some of these emails literally were from the middle of 2015. So it could be just calendar year as well. But any smart marketer knows that timeless content is amazing. It is a dream. It is an asset. It is something that I will be talking to you about in the 4th video in a couple weeks. But I started to notice repeat emails, meaning that say it was 2015 and I got an email about something, and then about a year later I got that same email. That did not annoy me at all, actually. I actually find that to be a really cool thing for a number of reasons. It builds... So there's somebody, I'll just shout out to Melissa Casera. She is somebody I want all of you to know. I love being on her email list. She's hands down one of my most favorite people to hear from. She is brilliant when it comes to how she approaches her newsletters and just her communication in general. She's not one of those people that's out there shouting at the rooftops, I have a new product for you to buy. She is the person that I would model for someone who practices like giving value first. So she has different times of the year where she offers, like she has 2 main programs that I know of, Click Sanity and Obsessed. And every year, like it's actually just like we're getting into that season where she's going to do her Obsessed preview class. Obsessed is like her core program. I got into it last year. And she, every year about this time, she does this. It's basically a free challenge, but she does it every year at this time. So I'm starting to see messages about this again, and I'm starting to even just see it on social media. It is so refreshing to see somebody offering the same thing around the same time every year, because I think that there's this certain like feel that I get from people that do that. Like they're reliable more than anything. And if they are repeating the same product like over and over like that, like I hope you guys like get that vibe when you see me launch Mastery Moment Seekers like every January-ish. It builds in this sort of trust in the person and the product because you see them being consistent. So I think that that's really important. Now, what we were talking about earlier with Corinne, hopefully I said your name right. You keep telling me how to pronounce it, and I say it out loud every time I get your emails. I've seen your emails that came through my inbox in the last day. But anyway, yeah, it is annoying when they are like this in the same week you get like the same email over and over. But at the same time, there is this really cool feature that ConvertKit does, and I wouldn't say I'm guilty of using it, but I do use it to my advantage. Basically, when your email goes out and say within 24 to 48 hours, it tells you like the percentage, like the open rate, how many people actually opened your email. And there's a button in there that says resend to unopened. And if you click that, it will basically duplicate the email, and you need to edit the subject line a little bit because it says resending, and you don't want an email that goes out that says resending. I think I did that once. But then you can resend it just to the people who didn't open the email in the beginning. So I think those are cool to use, but if you're going to use those, and something I'm going to start doing moving forward is just to say like, hey, I just wanted to make sure that you saw this. So you are treating them like a human. You're not just assuming that, like, you're not just literally just sending the same exact thing. Like, acknowledge, hey, you didn't open this before, and I really wanted to make sure that you saw it. Like, say something like that, so you're treating them like they are a person on the other side of this, and that you're acknowledging that, yeah, I know I'm sending you the same email for the second time, and it's only been a few days. Does that make sense? Hope so. I just did that in the preservation project for this week, Monday. The preservation project participants got their week 2 little action menu and instructions. And I noticed yesterday, Wednesday, that there were still several people that didn't open that email. And I'm like, okay, like we're a few days in. I want to make sure that they get this so they can have like the preservation week 2 in their brain. So I sent it out again, just said, hey, I noticed you didn't open this. I wanted to make sure you saw it. So you can use it not just for your newsletters, but also in that purpose too, for like your students and programs and things that you have. Yes, I love how you worded that. I want to feel like a person, not someone's $sign. That is like something I would put in a click to tweet or something. I love that. Number 11, I paid attention to words that excite me in the subject lines. Mostly conversational. Like if somebody, it just feels like it's an email from a friend, or if they're using like a positive phrase or something that's sexy and curious, or like magical words, like things that like are good. Like I don't want to use the word good, but words that I actively like to surround myself with people who lift me up. I want to open emails that I believe are going to lift me up. And as soon as like people are saying things like, is blogging dead? Are you struggling with booking clients? Oh, hell no, you're getting a big fat delete. Like that is annoying to me to like have just something negative right away. And that was something that was a big wake up call to me, because there is like, we get taught to speak to the pain points of our ideal clients. And there is that is important too, to like, so that the people, it's not to speak to their pain points to get into their head and bring up all this like things that don't feel good, but it's a way to communicate that your product is going to help with that. But putting something like that in the subject line, to me, I just hit delete. I thought it was annoying. I don't know, like that one, I think that one would be a controversial one, because I think that a lot of like bigger email marketers, they may have these big giant lists and they would be like, that stuff works for me all the time. I don't know. I don't really know on that one, but personally, like I hit delete if it's negative, but I found that if it was like here's 13 lessons that I learned, or here's this, and it's more presented in a positive light, then I'm going to pay attention. Number 12 is, and I knew this one, this is something that I talk about in Mastery Moment Seekers, but it reaffirmed my belief that conversational, lean, stylized text always wins. If it's big, long paragraphs, it's harder to skim it, so it's harder to decide if you actually want to read this or not. So I would stay away from that. I learned that the style, and this kind of ties into number 13, but like the stylizing wins for me. Like if it's just all the same text, it's really boring to read. And then so if you have some all caps, some bolds, some italics, and when I say writing it really lean, that if you notice my emails often, if you're on your desktop, they probably look like a list. And that's because I know that a lot of my readers are on mobile, and I want it to seem like really light reading. I don't want it to seem like a lot of heavy text. And then conversational. So instead of, I did this, I learned this, talk to them. Ask them a question. Use the word you. Use the word we. Things like that. And that's so in the way that I like trained myself to write in more of a conversational way in the beginning, was I would just write whatever I wanted to, like whatever message it was that I wanted to get across. I would just get it out on paper or into digital space. And then I'd go back and I would look at it like, how can I trim this down so that I could cut out certain phrases and words that didn't really need to be there? How can I take away some of the details? Because especially when we're talking about a personal story, it's really easy for us to just go overboard with the details. So I would eliminate the details that the people don't really need to know to get to the point of whatever it is that I'm talking about. And then I would look for, make sure that I'm using contractions. Nikki Elledge Brown actually brought that one up to me, to use, like, instead of we will, or, wheel, WE''LL, to make things really readable. And then also, like, go back in and just make sure that it feels really conversational, as if I were reading it out loud. It would sound like I'm actually talking to somebody. Just that way, that just helps it feel like you're acknowledging that there's a real person on the other side of the screen. And then the last thing, number 13, is I appreciate a simple but thoughtful design. I personally find it annoying to have those newsletters where there's a paragraph here and a picture here, and then a paragraph here and a picture here, and my eyes are like going all over the place looking. There's a sidebar, and it's just too noisy and too busy. In the email and blog post that I'm sending out about this, I think it'll be in the blog post, not the email, I have a link to a blog post that talks about how just more simple text-based emails are supposed to be better than the fancy stylized newsletter things that people use. And I found that to be true just as a reader. I appreciate if it's different. If it's from a store, I'm really visual. I want to see, like, I like that design aesthetic. But, and I think of like Artifact Uprising, if you guys are on their list, their emails are beautiful. But they're not text-based, like, information that they're giving, like what we're mostly doing as a personal brand, and using our stories and sharing our pictures. So having that, like, they actually is really clean because it's like really long and lean and you can skim it. My eyes don't have to like go all over the place. So I personally learned, and what I'm going to be doing moving forward, and if you go to fearlessandframed.com, there's a couple of forms on there, and you'll start to see, you will get a welcome email. That's going to be my old email template, but when you start to get like my newsletter email next week, you'll see that I have just a header, and I have mostly, it's like a dark gray text, and I have Jillian, my designer, she's going to pick out a couple of colors that are going to be like my signature colors in my email. And what I learned was I like when people have just a sprinkling of colored text, not like big, bold, bright, vibrant color to where that becomes a distraction and I see the design more than I see the content and the value. But for example, there was somebody, and I don't even know who it was or I'd give them a shout out, but her emails, all of her links in the email were not the default blue. She had like this seafoam green that I loved. And it just, to me, like having a nice, just a clean, like a header image, some text, and then like links that are different color, or maybe like instead of like big flashy headers, but just have like all caps with a text that is a different color. And it's just literally like that simple. And then, like I said before, like have their like a headshot bio picture type of a thing near the signature. That to me, just, it feels more thoughtful and simple, which I really appreciated. And I guess this is more of just your personal preference, but I found that I was more likely to read the email when I saw that it was put together in that type of packaging. And I liked when, one thing that drives me nuts about photographer emails is that, like, there will be, I wish that I just drew something out so I could give it as an example, but see, like, I have my notes for all my 13 reasons. What drove me nuts is if there was like one or two lines and then there was this big giant picture and then there was like one or two lines and a big giant picture, because I want to skim so fast and I'd skim down and I'd be like, oh, there's text up there. So I think, like, when I would say, like, people using pictures, like, I liked, like, they were very strategic about the placement of their pictures so that it wasn't, like, there was a time and a place for the text and a time and a place for the pictures. I mean, if there's captions, it just was spaced out really nicely so that way, like, the flow was really, really nice. It wasn't very clunky. So it's just something to pay attention to, just to see and look at your emails at how they're showing up when you, like, in ConvertKit. I love them. That's why I keep talking about them. And you can go to fearlessandframed.com/ConvertKit. That's my affiliate link. So there's that. But what was I getting to? In ConvertKit, they have, when you set up your content, there's a button that's called Send Preview, and you can, like, put your email address in. It's actually already by default in there. Click send preview, and then it'll send. So before you actually send it out to everybody, so you can look at it on your phone, you can look at it on your iPad, you can look at it on your desktop, and you can look at it. And once you start figuring out what really works for you, then it's really easy. You have basically a template that you can work off of for every email that you're doing, and it just makes the whole process really simple and easy. Let's see. And let me know if you guys have any questions or anything. I know this got kind of long, because that's me. According to the marketing class my mom has been taking, you are correct. When marketing, you should be positive and use positive phrases. If you use negative words and phrases, it can put a bad taste in people's mouth. Yes. Yeah, and that was just something I totally picked up on. And like I said, we're also taught to hit on people's pain points, but if we lead with their pain points, then, I don't know, it just, to me, feels like, I guess if somebody's really in a place and they see something why are you overwhelmed all the time, and they're feeling really overwhelmed, they may want to read it. But the issue with that is for example, here with us, a lot of people don't know what documentary photography is. So if you're using an example are you tired of all the stiff poses? They might not want to read that because they don't even know that there's another type of thing that they could do. That makes sense. I think you'd miss a whole network of people if you just focused on only the people who are living in that headspace of negativity. Just my opinion. So I'm going to wrap this up. If you're not on my email list, I am, because of all of this, especially, I'm actually really fired up and excited to connect with people more. I've gotten more engagement in my inbox in the last week that, I can't really keep up with all the responses, but I can just see a shift already. And if not for just the content that I'm sending out, but just pay attention. This is how I've really learned, is just pay attention to how I'm presenting my emails, and when I'm doing a link, or when I'm doing this, and how it is. You'll just learn from that, just from paying attention. That's literally how I came up with these 13 things, was just from paying attention to what other people are doing. So I'm going to sign off. Bye, ladies. Thanks for hanging out with me. Like I said, I'll be back next week. Next week I have a video that I think I was calling that segment, instead of bookings, focus on this, instead of getting bookings. So have a good week. I'll talk to you soon. I got to figure out how to close this thing. My thing's over here. Like I said, this is my first time using Ecamm Live. Oh, Ecamm Live, not Ecamm Lime. There's a big finish button. So I'm going to click that. Talk to you soon. Bye.